This is Boxing Talk 8576. I just got done watching Michael Sowell um, video. He was talking about, Mayweather, putting Mayweather pay-per-view numbers in perspective and saying that, a lot of Mayweather fans say that he has the highest pay-per-view numbers, and Mayweather also brag on his pay-per-view numbers. And he was just talking about, just a lot of, fighters that dwarfs Mayweather pay-per-view numbers. And I just want to, put some more, just talk about it a little bit more and put my dialogue on it. Um, yes, and go check out his channel. He got a pretty good channel. Um, a lot of Mayweather fans talk about his pay-per-view numbers, and he talk about his pay-per-view numbers and brag about he got the highest grossing pay-per-view numbers. And you know, I talked to a couple of my guys, and they talk about, oh, Mayweather sell this much pay-per-views. They or he sells these many pay-per-views, and you have to like kind of tell them that pay-per-view has not been out that long. Pay-per-view is not has not as long as boxing been out. Pay-per-view is like not that. It's like a snap of your finger. Boxing has been out for over 100 years. Pay-per-view been around, what, maybe 30, 20 years maybe. So you can't say that he generated more pay-per-views than any other fighter if all the other fighters did not even have a chance to fight on pay-per-view. So that's like a misrepresentation of the other fighters that didn't get a chance to fight on pay-per-view. But other fighters did fight on network TV, and they fought in front of more people than Mayweather actually fought in front of. See, when boxing was on network TV, even 30 years ago, 40 years ago, a lot of fighters had more exposure. They had you grew through the fighters' careers. That's how fighters got more fans, because you got to see them on, you got to see all their fights, all their trials and tribulations, and you got to see how good fighters were. That's why people was able to say how good fighters were back in the past, because they were able to see them come up right before their very eyes. They did not see a fighter after a fighter had 30 wins and then came up on the scene like Maidana. Like Maidana already had like in the middle 20 wins, like 25 wins or something like that before we even got to see him. So there's no way you can really put a good assessment on his career when he fought Victor Ortiz, because we didn't even know how good he was, and he happened to upset Victor Ortiz. Like, so fighters nowadays, we don't get to see them until like they have like 20 something fights, so we don't know really how good they are. Like Keith Thurman, I didn't see Keith Thurman until he had like 20 something wins already. Andrade, I didn't get to see him until he had some wins on his belt. People like Canelo, man, Canelo had like 30 something fights before I even seen Canelo. So it's hard to see how good these fighters are and say, well, we can place them amongst the great ones, because people back then got to see these fighters grow before their very eyes. So they had a very good assessment on how the fighters were from fight to fight to fight to fight to fight to the end of their career. Like back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, when fights was on radio and TV, people got to hear the fights, on the radio, and a lot of people that didn't have TV had radio. Then people, had TV, got to see people, see the fighters live. So they had a very good assessment on these fighters, man. We cannot. A lot of these fighters won't even have a good assessment on, man, because we don't get to see these fighters. And to talk about Mayweather pay-per-view numbers, and he say, oh, the sport is going to die when he leaves. Guess what? The sport is not popular right now. The sport of boxing is not popular, man. It's not. It's amongst the people that really like fighting, like boxing, and then some people come in and watch certain fights or follow certain fighters, and they think they have a misconception of boxing being popular. Well, boxing is not popular now. You know, doing, you know, I think Mayweather talk about his pay-per-view numbers because he want to try to try to one up the guys of the past, but he cannot. Like Like my guy Michael Soswell said, these guys dwarf his numbers, like dwarf. Like Muhammad Ali fought all over the world. Joe Louis fought all over the world. Mike Tyson even traveled outside the country to fight. These guys, Sugar Ray Leonard fought in front of a lot of people. He fought in Toronto. He fought, Thomas Hearns. These guys, even Marvin Hagler traveled outside the country. These guys had more viewing audience than Mayweather ever had in his life. The pay-per-view numbers is just a smokescreen, man. Don't look at the pay-per-view numbers, man, because look, I'm gonna put the pay-per-view numbers. Michael Solwell put the pay-per-view numbers in great perspective. Go look at his channel. I'm telling you, he put them in great perspective. Like right now, it's virtually 371 million people in the U.S. Now his highest grossing. Now Mayweather has like a couple high grossing pay-per-view buys. He has one with Canelo and one with Mayweather. One was 2.2 or 3 and one was 2.5 or something like that. Now, I'm gonna do both of them by themselves. By themselves, that's less than 1% of people watch that fight on pay-per-view. Less than 1% of 371 people. That's not good at all. Now, if you even put the fights together, put the 2.2 together and a 2.4, 2.5 together, that's like 4.8 or something like that. That's still less than 1% of people seeing the fights. You put all his pay-per-view numbers together, it may touch 1%. That's putting his pay-per-view numbers in crazy perspective. It's like a lot of people. That's why when I think he was in Jamaica or something. Some lady came in while he was getting his hair cut, and she said that she didn't even know who he was. Mayweather was kind of angry and upset that she didn't know who he was, but she knew who Mike Tyson was. See, Mike Tyson transcend the sport. Muhammad Ali transcend the sport. Sugar Ray Leonard transcend the sport. These guys, Joe Louis, transcend the sport. Sugar Ray Robinson transcend the sport. These guys went outside of the sport and grabbed people in. These guys, see, that's why these guys are so well known, especially Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali and Joe Louis are crazy known around the world. Muhammad Ali is probably the most recognizable face on the planet. Worldwide. I'm not talking about in the U.S. See, a lot of people think U.S. is bigger. The world is much bigger than the U.S. Outside of the U.S., Mayweather, he got some star power, but he's not as popular as those guys still right now today. So when the lady didn't know who he was, he got kind of angry and he said, well, you can Google me and you can go on Forbes, and see that I am the highest paid athlete in the world. And that he made more money and all this stuff. But we're talking about people being the viewing audience. Like, if Mayweather was on network TV and his career came up on network TV and he fought on network TV, he would be more popular than he is right now. He would have a chance to be way more popular than he is right now. I'm telling you, he'd be way more popular. And I know Al Heyman is taking his fights to network TV. Got something like, reportedly got like something like 24 dates or something like on CBS. And that'd be good. That'd be good for fighters to have some exposure. And we can see fighters grow before our very eyes and have a better assessment on it. And then you won't have a chance for the media to hype these guys up to something that they really not. Your eyes can tell you, you can give the eye test and it can tell you if a fighter is this, that, and that. And then we can have a better assessment on who's really who should be fighting who, and why this person is ducking that person. So we can see if it is for money. Are these fighters ducking these fighters for money, or are they ducking these fighters because they don't want to fight the fighter? They don't want to fight the fighter. Is it really because of that, or is it really because they're scared? I don't know. So boxing going back to network TV is a great move by Al Heyman. Al Heyman seemed like he just, I don't know if he really, care about boxing that much. He just see that he can make some money, which is he's a businessman, so hey, he can make the money. But as long as he put good fights on, and hopefully put some of these guys like Keith Thurman and some of these guys that he has like Danny Garcia, throw them on there every now and then so we can see some really good fights on network TV. But I just wanted to put my little dialogue on that subject. But go check out Michael Solwell video. He has crazy breakdown, crazy perspective, and in his numbers are outstanding. He talks about what a country was in certain times and how many people were, the population versus people seeing the fights. And boxing was way more popular back then, like 20 times more popular then. It was like at some point boxing was like the number one sport. This is Boxing Talk 8576. I'm out.